Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our evening Shabbat class to close out our Shabbat. That's the 10th of December, 2022. I read Psalms 89, and I was breaking it down, and it was some more things I want to deal with. So I'm going to read Psalms 89 for the topic later on and go a little more into that because I think it's important. So in the meantime, I'm asking everybody that come across this channel to go to our YouTube channel, Prophets of Awakening. Check out our videos, and there's a lot of information given, and the videos will connect dots for you and bring you into the truth of the Holy Scriptures. And if you like what you're seeing or hearing, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It'll be appreciated. And for those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh is the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given by Moses. It's given to Moses on Mount Sinai by the Lord of Hosts. Shalom and welcome to the Prophets of Awakening, and welcome to our evening Shabbat class. We're going to do our usual, which is a moment of silence, Sabbath prayer, Psalms, current event, it's a little need to know information. Then we'll do some Q&A, and we're going to the reading of Psalms 89 and its breakdown. Okay, so this moment of silence is for the strong one, the El, that's over Israel, which is Lord of Hosts, and for his Lord, Lord of Hosts, Yahweh. Okay. Oh Lord, pray unto the Lord our God. We make our confessions, O Lord, the great and dreadful God, keeping covenant and mercy to them that love thee, and to them that keep thy commandments. O Lord, righteousness belongeth unto thee, but unto us the confusion of face, as it is this day, to the men of Judah, to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and unto all Israel that are near and that are far off, through all the countries whither thou hast driven us, because of our trespass, that we have trespassed against thee. As it is written in the laws of Moses, all this evil is come upon us in the land of our captivity, here in the Americas, Caribbeans, Great Britain, and Africa. O Lord, according to all thy righteousness, I beseech thee, and let thine anger and thy fury be turned away from thy city, Jerusalem, and thy people, and thy holy mountain. O Lord, hear this prayer, and cause thy face to shine upon thy sanctuary and thy people for your sake. O Lord, open thine eyes and incline thine ears to hear and to behold our condition. O Lord, hear, O Lord, forgive, O Lord, hearken and do, and defer not, for thine own sake. O my Lord, for thy people and your land need you desperately at this hour. Peace be on you. Okay. So with that being said, I'm going to read the Psalms. Okay. Okay, I'll read creation and the covenants of God. Right? This is Psalm 19. This is Psalm of David. The heavens declare thy glory, O God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Day unto day uttereth speech, and night unto night showeth knowledge. There is no speech nor language where their voice is not heard. Their line is gone out through all the earth, and their words to the ends of the world. In them have he set a tabernacle for the sun, which is a bridegroom coming out of his chamber, and rejoiceth as a strong man to run a race. His going forth is from the ends of heaven, and his circuit unto the ends of it, and there is nothing hid from the heat thereof. The law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple. The statutes of the Lord are right, rejoice in the heart. Commandments of the Lord is pure, enlightening the eyes. The fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever. Judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. More to be desired are they than gold, yea, than much fine gold, sweeter also than honey and the honeycomb. Moreover, by them is thy servant warned, in his keeping of them there is a great reward. Who can understand his errors? Cleanse thou me from secret faults. Keep back thy servant also from presumptuous sins. Let them not have dominion over me. Then shall I be upright, and I shall be innocent from the great transgression. And let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my redeemer. That's our Psalm 19. Okay.
Hallelujah.
Okay. So that was Psalm 19. We're gonna got a couple of current events. Let me see what I got. Okay. Yeah. So this is like talking about Kanye West a little bit. I'm gonna play that, and then we got one more.
What's going on, family? All praises to the Most High. All praises. I wanted to come on here because I want to talk to y'all about something. Now, do y'all remember a couple of months ago when we did the video called Enough Already, Israel? And do you remember what I was talking about in regards to Kanye and how he was using that situation to his benefit to get out of his deal, right? So I want to show y'all something right now, and then we'll come back and talk about it. So take a look at this real quick.
I know that this will never happen again in history. There will never be a situation where people end a multi-billion-dollar deal off of a tweet. Gotcha. So I would like to thank everyone that was involved with this negotiation. Thank God no one was hurt in the process. And I feel free.
All right, so y'all peep that. So do you remember when everybody was saying that I was crazy? Well, let me not say everybody, because that's an absolute. But there were many, many people that were saying I was crazy and that I was hating. Remember? All that shit they was talking. Where y'all at now? Where are y'all at now? Where's that energy now? Because everything that I said would happen did happen. Out of all of that, but mainly and specifically, Kanye using this situation to his own benefit. He played all them niggas that followed and ran after his ass. But I'm taking this one personally. I ain't gonna say it in front. So many people that tried to call me out and said that I didn't know what I was talking about, and I was hating, I was uninformed. Where are you individuals at now to speak that same language that y'all was speaking back then? It just goes to show you that not everybody is damn crazy. And sometimes y'all need to drop your pride, open your ears, and listen. Because the man did exactly what the hell I said he was doing.
Okay, any comments on that? They had deified him. They didn't turn him into an Israelite. He had a whole other agenda. Okay. No comment? Okay, let me play this right here. This got to do Dr. Arakami.
Africa is facing today the same dilemma. The African Union estimated that 70,000 skilled professionals leave Africa every year. Among them are doctors, nurses, and scientists. In 2015, it was estimated that the number of African trained medical students or graduates practicing in the United States alone reached 13,584. The Mo Ibrahim Foundation assessment, in a report called Brain Drain, a Bane for Africa's Potential, found that, and I quote, in 2015, 86% of all African educated physicians working in the United States were trained in Egypt, Ghana, Nigeria, and South Africa. Just imagine that. Clearly, Africa must learn from India. We must put in place programs that support African medical doctors in the diaspora to connect back to Africa. I'm therefore delighted to let you know that the African Development Bank and the World Health Organization, myself and Tedros, the DG of the WHO, had a side meeting during the World Health Summit. And we decided to partner on what we will call Africa Connect, an initiative to strategically tap into Africa's physicians in the diaspora to invest in quality health infrastructure in Africa, including for the establishment of first-rate medical facilities. This will be part of the African Development Bank's plan to invest $3 billion in quality health infrastructure for Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, Africans in the diaspora are critical for Africa's economic development. The value of remittances from African diaspora rose from $37 billion in 2010 to $87 billion in 2019, reaching almost $96 billion by 2021. Yet, I'm president of an African Development Bank, and we do concessional financing, but yet official development assistance to Africa in 2021 was only $36 billion. And that is 36% of what the remittances we got from our diaspora. I think you should clap for them.
The Minority Research Grant Program helps.
They are clearly seeing a continent that is increasingly sure of itself, a continent that is self-aware, determined to extricate itself from the burdens of history, and assert itself as an unrivaled investment destination in the world. The African Continental Free Trade Area will make Africa the largest free trade zone in the world in terms of number of countries participating, an estimated GDP size of $3.3 trillion. Africa has the highest population of youth in the world. That's estimated to account for 42% of the global youth by 2030, which means that Africa will be the right place and the right place globally for innovation and entrepreneurship, and the outsourcing for skills for industries and services. Africa has 65% of the uncultivated arable land left to feed the world. Therefore, how Africa develops its agriculture will determine the future of food in the world. Across Africa, we must turn cocoa beans into chocolates, cotton into textile, and garments, coffee beans into brewed coffee. That is why the African Development Bank is investing $25 billion in agriculture across the continent to transform the agricultural sector. Africa has an abundance of natural resources, oil, gas, minerals, metals, as well as extensive blue economy that must be rapidly industrialized. The future of electric cars in the world depends on Africa, given its extensive resource deposits in rare minerals, especially lithium ion, cobalt, nickel, and copper. Now listen to this. The size of the electric vehicles market is estimated to reach $7 trillion by 2030 and $46 trillion by 2050. Building precursor facilities for lithium-ion batteries in Africa will be 3 times cheaper than doing so in any other part of the world.
Okay, any comments on that? So that's our destination. We see it's all unfolding in front of our face. No comments on that? Okay, I want to say shalom. What's up, Bruce? Shalom, sister. Okay, With that being said, I wanted to ask a question. Do anybody familiar with Tomas? Anybody know what that is? You ever heard of that?
Thomas,
Yeah. Tammuz.
Tammuz.
Yeah. They say a lot of
Yeah,
people say Tomas. Yeah. You know what that is?
yeah. Uh-huh.
Who is it?
Isn't that the false deity?
Yes, it's the son of God. It's Nimrod. It's Nimrod's son. Nimrod had his wife was Samernus, whatever that her name, and they had a son called Tamaz, and he's the son of God. That's where all this stuff come from. That's where the origins of the story with JC and all that come from. It's sort of a similar story that happened with um Horus. Horus was Horus was immaculately conceived. They killed Horus. I mean, they killed Osiris and cut his body up into 17 different parts. And his Isis went and found all the parts except for his phallus. They throw the phallus in the Nile River, the crocodiles ate it. So she turned into a hawk and flapped over his body, over private over his lower parts, and she immaculately conceived Horus. And what happened with Tamaz is that it means a new growth, which is that's the reason why that's what the Christmas tree is. When you cut a Christmas tree down, then that new growth they come up out of that stump. That's what Tamaz. That's what that is. That's what it symbolizes. So it's like immaculate conception also, but it's all tied to paganism. The dying and rising saviors tied to paganism. But yes, you're right, sister. Let me go there right quick. It's Ezekiel chapter 8, verse 14. Let me read it. It's just one part. Ezekiel chapter. What's up, D-Ray? This is Ezekiel.
Hey, what's up? Shalom, shalom.
All right. Chapter 8. Ezekiel chapter 8. And verse 14. So it says, then he brought me to the door of the gate of the Lord's house, which was toward the north, and behold, there sat women weeping for Tammuz. Right. So what's going on is Ezekiel is in the captivity in Babylon, but we know, as explained to you, that Lord hosts always leave a remnant. Every time he cast the Israelites out of their land, he leave a remnant there. So what he did was he took Ezekiel by the nape of his hair and transported him to Babylon and showed him this in a vision, showed him what these people was doing and what the remnant was doing. They was at the gate weeping for 2 miles. It's like what that is like when you understand you got professional mourners nowadays. So people that they hire to come to funerals and to mourn, just to mourn, we call them professional mourners. Every time it's a funeral, they show up. So that's what these people do. They at the gate of the temple mourning for tomorrow, right? Let's look at it. So it says in chapter 8, verse 1, and it came to pass in the 6th year, in the 6th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I sat in my house, and the elders of Judah sat before me, that the hand of the Lord fell there upon me. Then I beheld, and lo, a likeness and appearance of fire, from the appearance of his loins even downward, fire, and from his loins even upward, an appearance of brightness, as the color of amber. And he put forth the form of a hand, and took me by the locks of my head, and the Spirit lifted me up between the earth and heaven, brought me in a vision of God to Jerusalem, to the door of the inner gate, and looking toward the north, where was the seat of the image of jealousy, which provoked to jealousy. And behold, the glory of God of Israel was there, according to the vision that I saw in the plain. Then said he unto me, Son of man, lift up thine eyes now the way toward the north. So I lifted up mine eyes the way toward the north, and behold, northward in the gate at the altar, this image of jealousy in the entry. He said, furthermore unto me, Son of man, seest thou what they do, even the great abominations that the house of Israel committeth here, that I should go far off from my sanctuary, but turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abominations. And he brought me to the door of the court. And when he looked, behold, the hole was in the wall. Then said he unto me, Son of man, dig now in the wall. And when I digged in the wall, behold, a door. And he said unto me, Go in and behold the wicked abominations that they do here. So I went in and saw, and behold, from every form of creeping thing and abominable beast and all idols of the house of Israel portrayed upon the walls round about. So what's going on is down under the temple, in the basement of the temple. This is what they're doing. Paganism. They're doing idol worship and all that from what they picked up from the Canaanites. Beneath where the sanctuary is, where the Holy of Holies is. This is how wicked they was. So he says, 11, and there stood before them 70 men of the ancients of the house of Israel, and in the midst of them was Jeconiah, the son of Shaphan, with every man a censer in his hand, and a thick cloud of incense went up. Then said he unto me, Son of man, hast thou seen what the ancients of the house of Israel do in the dark, every man in his chamber of his inventory, for they say, the Lord seeth us not, the Lord hath forsaken the earth. He said also unto me, Turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abominations than this. Just when you get to verse 14. Then he brought me to the door of the gate of the Lord's house, which was toward the north, and behold, there sat women weeping for Tammuz. Right? So, like I said, that's a God, son of God. And I showed you that because I wanted to play this right here. Okay.
Tammuz is another name for Jesus of 2,000 years ago, whose galactical name is Sananda and whose ancient Sumerian name is Tammuz. The name Tammuz can be found in the ancient tablets entitled Tammuz and Ishtar in cuneiform. Tammuz is your appointed deity by the anointer, the netter, Anu the Heavenly One. Tammuz's name can be found in the Old Testament in Ezekiel 8:14. Ezekiel 8:14. Then he brought me to the door of the gate of Yahuwah's house which was upon the north, and here, right there sat down a female living being weeping for Tammuz. Right translation in Aramaic Hebrew by Netter, Ephraim Re. In the previous quote, the name Tammuz means the sprout of life. This is in accordance to the Strong's Concordance of the Bible.
See, Tammuz means sprout of life. That's what I was talking about. That's what the Christmas tree is. Cut a tree down, then a sprig come up from that tree. New life. That's what Tammuz is.
Tammuz in Sumerian means the faithful son. Tammuz was known by the Babylonians as Damuzi, but that was also his father's name, which they say means god of pastures and flocks, of subterranean water and vegetation. Tammuz was originally a disagreeable Anunnaki. Elohim is found in the ancient tablets of the Atrahasis, and he was.
So I was showing you this for a reason. I was showing you that when they got to Alexandria, Egypt, these Edomites, not Israelites in the land, and the Israelites left in 143. They had all this history right here. This is the origins of JC. If you're trying to track him, you got to track him. You got to track him through paganism. He ain't nowhere in them. He ain't nowhere in our scriptures. But when you go back and you look at what they was doing and how they did things, like I said, those angels, fallen angels, 200 angels that came down from Mount Hermon and went to Egypt. Giants all over there. Them sons of God. Them sons of God. Nimrod, the son of God. That's the origins of this tournament. Okay.
Converted to being an agreeable being. Tammuz was the son of Ishtar and Dumuzi. Read the glory of Jesus, the Messiah scroll number 115. Tammuz was also called Adonis, which is where the Aramaic, Hebrew, Israelites or Jews get the name Adonai, which can be found in Exodus 4:10. And I quote, "And Moses said to Yahweh, Adonai, O my Yahweh, I am not eloquent, neither heretofore, nor since thou hast spoken unto thy servant, but I am slow of speech, and of a slow tongue." It is obvious that Moses is talking to his and that God refers to him as Adonai, which was Tammuz's personal name. The Phoenician and Greek Adonis, the Hebrew Adonai, the Phrygian Attis, Egypt, Horus, and other well-known types of dying sons of Mother Earth. The worship of...
Yeah, so it's 16 of them, 16 crucified saviors. So this is what I'm saying about when you're sitting there listening to somebody and they talking about, they replacing the word God with Elohim. You can't do that. I mean, you know, if you just starting out and, you know, and you in Bible 101, you can do that. But if you can elevate it with your understanding, you can't use Elohim in place of the creator. Because he ain't no Elohim. And we see right here that we see right here that Ananias, and you can't use Ananias, it's one of these 16 crucified saviors. Tammuz, one of them. Horus. They got you using words and you're going right along with the program.
So
And
JT is one of those fallen ones.
Right. He was manufactured from the process that they, you know, they have a process. And it's like, for example, Julius Caesar, they made him a god, right? How they make him a god? They got all these characteristics they put on him. He turned water into wine, born of a virgin. That's how you make a god. It's paganism. So that's all they did that Constantine did. Was when they created JC at the Council of Nicaea, they put all them characteristics on him. Horus taught in the temple in Thebes at 12 years old. That's how you get a God. And that's what he told us was gonna happen. We was gonna get let me read it. He told us in the end, Moses told us that in the Song of Moses. You know, Deuteronomy 32, the Song of Moses. So he says in let me get in 32, Deuteronomy 32. So it says in Deuteronomy 32, I think it's verse 16. He says right here. I start at 15. But Jezreel waxed fat. This one, you know, we got in the land, got all everything going on, had clothes and money and gold everywhere. It says Jezreel waxed fat and kicked. Thou hast waxed some fat. Thou art grown thick. Thou art covered with fatness. That's blessings. Then he, Israel, the Israelite, forsook God, which made him, and lightly esteemed the rock of their salvation. In 16, they provoked him to jealousy with a strange gods. See that? With abominations provoked they him to anger. They sacrificed unto devils, not to God, to gods whom they knew not. New gods. Right there. I'm showing you some of them right here. Ananias, Attis, Harut, Horus, and Tammuz. Okay, it says that came newly up, whom their fathers knew not. Like I said, our forefathers don't know JC. He ain't in the New Testament. He ain't in the Old Testament. They don't know him. So it says 18, of the rock that begot thee, thou art unmindful, and hast forsaken the God that formed thee. And when the Lord saw it, it abhorred them because of the provoking of his sons and of his daughters. And he said, look at this, I will hide my face from them, and I will see what their end shall be. For they are a very forward generation, children in whom there is no faith. So 21, they moved me to jealousy with that which was not God. They have provoked me to anger with vanities, and I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people, and I will provoke them to anger with a foolish nation. Okay, so right there, none of that adds up to the New Testament when you read it right and understand what's going on. Okay.
Brother Leonard.
Okay.
He says, with those which are not a people.
Right.
Break that down.
Okay. If you go to two places to go. First you go to 2 Samuel chapter 7. And this is where the trick come in at. When you keep hearing me breaking down Shem, him, and Japheth and who they really are. But chapter 7, this is the covenant that he made with David. And he sent Nathan to go tell David this. So we're going to pick it up in verse 10. 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 10. And he says, moreover, I will appoint a place for my people, his people, Israel. That's the Israelites. And I will plant them that they may dwell in the place of their own and move no more. Neither shall the children of wickedness afflict them anymore before time. So who is these children of wickedness? Go back over here to Genesis.
Japheth's descendants.
Japheth descendants. Descendants from Cain. Cain came from the serpent, from Samuel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when he referring to them, he's saying they like a spit in the bucket. You know, they don't mean nothing. So he tells you right here in Genesis chapter 6, you know, right here. Genesis chapter 6, he says right here. You know, like I said, I ain't writing it. I'm just breaking it down. So he says in Genesis chapter 6, and it came to pass when men began to multiply, this is the origins of the Japheth and the Canaanites. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw that the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And then this is the creator. And the Lord said, my spirit, see that? My spirit that he put in Adam, see that? This is a different spirit that he put in Adam. My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he is also his flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. So these are the people right here that he's saying it's not a people. Right here, Cain descendants and Canaanites. So let's look at it. So we see right here, Genesis chapter 6, verse 1. It came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, daughters were born of them, that the sons of God saw. So what he talking about? He created watchers, these angels. He created a whole bunch of these angels. These angels is watching over the, I told you, the 6-day man. He created in Genesis 1 and 6, 126. He created a man with a woman. Well, these watchers, that's their responsibility to watch over those people. But instead of watching over them, 200 of them came down and started sleeping with the women. But where did they get that from? Let's look at it. Where these angels, where they got this? What gave them the notion that they could do that? Go back to Genesis chapter 3, right here. In verse 3, verse 1. Chapter 3, verse 1. Now the serpent, this Samuel, this Lucifer, angel. The serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, yea, have God said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, that's him. He the one, he the tree in the midst of the garden, right? God has said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it. That touch means to lie with a woman. That's what that means when you go to Hebrew, to the Strong's. So 14:4. And the serpent said unto the woman, notice it's a woman. The rest of them watching, they watching. And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die, for God doeth know that in the day that ye eat thereof, your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, as angels, right? Watchers, knowing good and evil. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took. They came together. She took what he had. She took the fruit thereof and did eat, and also to her husband, and he did eat. So right here is when you got Cain. This ain't
so wait a minute. So when she laid down with the serpent and had sex, her eyes was open.
Right. So that's goes to if you have unlawful sex, right? What happens to a woman when they have unlawful sex? Ain't their eyes open? Huh?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, so let's read it though. It says, we're gonna see what it means. It said, verse 7. the eyes of them both were open, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they knew that they were naked. See that? See what it says? Their eyes were open. What do you mean by the eyes being open? Now they know they're naked. And they sewed fig leaves together to make themselves aprons. And they heard the voice of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And Adam and his wife hid. See that? They've been dealing with him. He's been coming in the cool of the day. Now they know they're naked. So how they know they're naked? They had some unlawful sex.
Unlawful sex. Okay.
Right. Because look at verse 25. Right. Well, we'll go to 23, 22, and the reel which the Lord God had taken from man made he woman and brought her to the man. Right. So when he brought her, look what Adam did. Adam said, "This is now bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh." And she be called woman because she was taken out of man. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother and cleave unto his wife. See, wife. The only way she can become his wife, he got to consummate the relationship. So when he brought her there, Adam consummated the relationship. That's why it says they became one flesh. They came together.
Right.
And he consummated the relationship. But here go the trick. 25. They were both naked. They just consummated the relationship right here. And they both naked, the man and the woman, and they not ashamed because it wasn't unlawful sex.
Man, that's the key word, unlawful.
Right.
Okay. Now, the next question. So in Daniel, when it talks about when he has the dream, the head of gold, and it gets down to the feet.
Yeah.
And it talks about a people that are not.
Right.
So that would be the same thing?
Right. So what happened was, when you understand who Esau is, Esau merged. Esau merged with Japhet.
Right.
They became one people.
Right. The Edomites.
Right. So that's who not only the third beast, but the third and the fourth beast is Gentiles. They come from Cain's descendants. The Greeks, the third beast is Greece. That's it. Excuse me. That's in Genesis chapter 10, verse 10 and 2. It said the sons of Japhet, Gomer, Magog, Midian, Javan. Javan is the Greeks. That's the third beast. And then the fourth beast is verse 4. The sons of Javan, Elisha, Tarsus, Kitchen. Kitchen is the Romans. So the third and fourth beast is the people that are not. That I just showed you. And this is what he said. Until the time of the Gentiles. These are Gentiles right here. Verse 5. By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, everyone after their tongue and their families and their nation. So he says, after the time of the Gentiles is up, is when he'll bring us back. That's where we at. We at the end of the third beast, the fourth beast, which is the Romans, which are Gentiles. The Greeks came, third beast, they were Gentiles. Constantine was a Gentile. That's where JC come from. They had a track record of creating gods.
Right.
Right.
Did you guys see on Go Back Black to Africa? He did a little video on the Black Madonna.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
Right.
because they was worshiping her, and that was supposed to be the Virgin Mary, right?
Right.
But he would, huh?
Right.
Yeah, but in
Yeah, but
France, huh?
that's the Black Madonna is. The Black Madonna is Horus. Horus, they took the Horus is the sun. But so they took that when they got the Greeks, the Egyptians knew that they personified the sun. They gave the sun human characteristics. That's who Horus is. But when the Greeks came, they took the sun from out the sky and made a man out of it. That's who Christ, the Christos is. And Mary is Isis, and
Right.
Yeah, Joseph is Horus. I mean,
right.
Osiris. Right, go ahead.
Right. So, So when he had that witch on there talking about how people were in the 12th and 14th through the 12th and 14th century, how they started worshiping Mary and
Right.
sending prayers and stuff to her. So she was saying that in France, all of those buildings are called Nostradamus, and that
Right.
means the Virgin Mary. They're all dedicated to her,
Right.
and
Exactly.
there's tons of them. I'm like, wow.
Right. And Mary ain't nothing but, when you understand what's going on, Mary ain't nothing but ISIS. So yeah,
Exactly.
she had a coat. She had a coat from way back. That's where all
That's
that coming
true.
from. Right. Yeah, that's where all that's coming from. But if you don't do your research, you'll be sitting there spewing out that garbage that they got you spewing because you haven't done no research on it. Yeah. Ain't that something? Okay. Anybody else got anything?
I got something.
What you got?
Need to know.
What you got?
So, um, this cat dog cat. I don't want to get us in trouble. The cat dog cat. They just got $2 trillion. They getting ready to start back with the mandates. Did you guys
Okay.
see? Did you guys see when that announcer from the Hawks had that sudden attack on the air?
Oh yeah, the
Yes.
reporter.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but they still are going to be pushing it, you guys, and they're going to be pushing it really hard. In fact, another thing to know is in New York, they just passed the bill, and they did all of the stuff while they had everybody uh talking about Brittany Griner. What they did was they passed this bill in New York, so you cannot post anything on social media that they deem hate.
Okay.
And if so, then they're gonna put you on this list. They're not calling it hate speech, but it is hate speech if you go through and read the bill. Because if they say that it's hate speech, then they're going to get taken to court because that's violating the First Amendment. But anyway, but it's happening in New York. So if anybody is listening, you may want to check out the bill. And I can't find it. I wrote it down, but they just passed it like this week.
Okay.
And let me see. And another thing to know, and San Francisco, you guys know that they're going to use those robots
Okay.
to apprehend people.
Okay.
And so that's the testing grounds. And once it happens in California, it's going, go around. So just some stuff you guys, need to be aware of what's really going on with these laws and stuff while they trying to have us, watching other stuff, what they really doing.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, that's the old trick. Right. Yeah. So check this out right here.
Be Demetra K of the Demetra K Show here on YouTube and a proud contributor of the African Diaspora News Channel. If you could please do me a favor and subscribe to all channels and like this video, I would greatly appreciate it. So in 2020, Governor Gavin Newsom of California signed into legislation to create a task force that would decide if Black Californians, American descendants of slaves, would be entitled to reparations. And this is what happened after they got together. Californians eligible for reparations, the task force decided in March, would be descendants of enslaved African Americans or free Black persons living in the United States prior to the end of the 19th century. Nearly 6.5% of California residents, roughly 2.5 million, identified as Black or African American. The panel is now considering how reparations should be distributed. Some favor tuition and housing grants, while others want direct cash payments. The task force has identified 5 areas housing discrimination, mass incarceration, unjust property seizures, devaluation of Black businesses, and healthcare in discussions for compensation. For example, from 1933 to 1977, when it comes to housing discrimination, the task force estimates compensation of around 569 billion with 223,000 per person. So yes, you heard it right. They have decided that it sounds like Black Californians who are American descendants of slavery should get around 220,000, 23,000 rather dollars in reparations. And so, of course, there's a lot of people who are like, wait a minute, I don't believe that they should get it. My family didn't own slaves, but particularly there's a group of Hispanics, and they're going by Chicanos. They said this on their Facebook. If African Americans are getting reparations, 300,000 per person, land return, business loans, housing grant, tuition, wage increase, and job protections, why not any reparations for Mexican Americans? Mexican Americans had also had their land stolen, massacred, exiled, enslaved, and lynched. Chicanos have been here before America has even existed. California was never a part of African American slavery history or slave trade. They should do that in the South. Let the people of California decide on this matter, not some politicians seeking a presidential run. Well, I want to say this. I've heard a lot of people say, well, California wasn't complicit in the slave trade. Yes, it was. They particularly signed into legislation in 1852 a form of the Fugitive Act, which says that if slaves, because California was considered a free state, but if slaves escaped from the South to California, they were obligated to send them back, to give them back to their slave master. And in fact, when slave owners would come to California, or go to California rather, I'm acting like I'm still there. When they would go to California from the South, they would bring their slaves, and California didn't get in the way of that. They didn't say, well, you know what, we're a free state here, so you can't do slavery here. They just allowed it to go on. And so, yes, and even, far back as the 1700s, there was enslaved Black people in California. So people should do their research before they just blurt out stuff. But back to this post, from the Chicano Americans, Mexican Americans, well, you know what? Take that up with Gavin Newsom. That's right. Don't try to impede on what we are supposed to be getting as Black Californians. Yes, I'm a Black Californian.
Ain't that something? What you think about that?
Man, also in California, they had the slaves over here digging in the gold mines.
Right, exactly.
Right over here, not far from where I live. In Rialto and Redlands and stuff, they had them digging. So, yeah, no, California is responsible. And Gavin Newsom, he wants to run for president. So this is what he's trying to do.
Right. Well, ain't there some nerves for the Mexicans? I mean, they just got it all of a sudden. Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, they wasn't brought over here in chains and slave boats.
Right.
Yeah, right. I know. I have a question.
What's that?
Are Mexicans, are they Israelites?
No, that's what I was getting ready to make a point about. African Americans is one of the reasons why they think they got a voice, because they didn't come up with this bullcrap chart talking about the Mexicans is Issachar. So they the ones they pretty much wind the shit up their damn self.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's crazy, man.
I don't feel like they fit the criteria.
No. It goes back to, like I said, about JFAD. We looking in retrospect right now who the Greeks are. They blonde head and blue eyes. How can they be Noah's son? It can't be Noah's son. Look at how they look.
But what about the Black Mexicans? Because there's Black Mexicans that's Black like us, and they over in Mexico, they discriminate against them. They treat them just like they treat us over here. So the Mexicans got a lot of nerves.
Right, exactly, right, exactly. But like I was saying before, we gotta look at. I used to hear Dr. Ben say this all the time. How can your God look like somebody else? If you got a God, He gonna look like you. So we see in the scriptures how the Lord of hosts look. It describing. We got woolly hair. So that's the template. You got all these people with this. They got dark skin, but look at their hair. So you got to go back to Jacob and his 4 wives. Jacob was had woolly hair, dark, brown skinned, and his 4 wives the same way. How can you get a Hawaiian out of that? Or Mexican?
I think it was just the blacks that were took over to those countries like
Right,
Mexico,
exactly.
things like that, that are the
Right,
Israelites, not the people that were
exactly.
there already.
Right, and they intermingle. That's where you get these variations from. But the Israelites, when they was all the 12 tribes together, Jacob had 12 sons, and he had 4 wives, and all of them woolly hair. So this
I'm
12
glad you
tribes
cleared
talking
that up
about.
with me, man, because that was
Oh yeah,
something that I always I'll be on. I'll be on YouTube sometimes, and I look at the Sakori speakers sometimes
oh yeah,
because
right,
they believe in like the JC, but I just listen to what
right,
they're saying, and they are
right,
very very big on that Native Indians and all these different nations were Israelites, but I'm like the Native Indians, they had slaves, black slaves.
right, exactly, right, exactly. And then and like even to the day, you got people that's coming over across, immigrants coming across the border. They over here illegally, but as soon as they get here, all of a sudden you looking down at the black man. You just got over, you ain't even legal, but you think you got a right to look down on a black man?
That's
Come
true.
on, that's crazy. That's what I'm saying. So how you Mexican? Even right here, how you Israelite when you trying to block what we've been trying to get for the last 400-500 years? Now we at the point at the door of getting it. Here you come talking about if they get something, you want something. It
That's
don't
true.
sound like no brother to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So yeah, it just don't add up. Okay. Okay. Anybody else got any comments on that? And so it's not, but like, you gotta cool believe me that Esau behind this right here. He set this all up. So check this out. It's the same thing, but it's from another perspective. Check this out.
Ladies and gentlemen, California has been working towards getting reparations for the Black community. Well, there have been snags along the way. And now the California Reparations Task Force are concerned over white people qualifying for reparations as well. So, under a bill that's signed by Governor Gavin Newsom in 2020, California is looking into possible ways to provide restitution to Black Americans who have experienced the generational effects of slavery. And the state's reparations plan might potentially benefit white identifying individuals, some analysts have said. So the task force members compose of 9 people, and they have traveled across the state and developed reparation recommendations and proposed solutions to its findings, which take into account the harms that Black people suffered. So in March of 2022 report, the task force said those eligible for reparations should be descendants of enslaved African Americans or a free Black person living in the United States prior to the end of the 19th century. In its interim report released in June, the task force was able to determine 12 areas of harm identified as the lingering effects of slavery. So this came from Jovan Scott Lewis, one of the task force members, and they're also a professor at the University of California, Berkeley. So those areas are enslavement, racial terror, political disenfranchisement, housing segregation, separate and equal education, racism and environment and infrastructure. So, and control over creative, cultural, and intellectual life, stolen labor, and hindered opportunity. Yeah, in other words, sabotaging, which they thrive on even to this very day, especially against us. An unjust legal system, mental and physical harm, and neglect, and wealth gap. Lewis said that the task force was able to identify 5 key areas that could be supported by some of the compensatory framework because of those, the ones that were currently backed by data from the economics team. So the 5 areas that the team identified was housing discrimination, mass incarceration, unjust property seizures, devaluing Black businesses, and healthcare. So those issue factors into determining the reparations. Based on housing discrimination alone that occurred between 1933 and 1977, such as $569 billion in reparations, could be needed to pay to African Americans in California, amounting to $223,000 per person. So that is not a guarantee that they will get it. It is just an estimation of what they came up with. That is going to be difficult. If these folks are in their family through rape, that's going to be really difficult because, see, what these folks did was they legalized their crimes against us, and it's still technically, it's a crime, y'all. It's a crime. But what they did was they wrote their Black codes and slave codes and everything to make sure any crime that they committed against us in the law, it was not seen as a crime. But technically, it is still a crime. Okay? I don't care what they say. Technically, it is still a crime, even if you try to legalize your crime, which America is no.
Okay. Any comments on that? Yeah. So they got it coming from all kind of angles. They want to act like they then came to a decision as far as came to a conclusion when it comes to reparating us, but they got these side Mexicans they bringing these Europeans in to sideboard the conversation. That's how Esau work. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how they do it. And so, like I said before, over and over again, when we went into captivity in Babylon, it was Chaldeans, but it was the Medes and Persians that released us. It wasn't the Chaldeans. So, saying you look at that, you understand that, and you look at now, it's not gonna be the Americans that release us. They're not gonna benefit. America was built off our back, so they can't just let us go. But China is the one that can benefit because they want us out of here because when we go, this place go. So China the one that's gonna benefit. They the ones want to release us. They're gonna benefit from us. They can. Just like he said, you make money by spending money. So they're gonna invest the money, the reparation money, give to us to get us the hell out of here because they want this place to go to the dogs. And no sooner than we go, it's going to the dogs.
Right, because they will want us to spend that money right back with them.
Right. They got all that set up over there, Road and Build Initiative, all that stuff already in place. It just got to unfold. Yeah. So you got Negroes talking about they want to stay here. Well, let's see if you stay here when there ain't that many of y'all here. You saying that now because you got a whole bunch of black folks here with you, but you let most of them leave, and you still be here. I guarantee you'll be on a tugboat trying to get the hell out of here. Yeah. So anybody else got anything before we shut down? We right at an hour.
Man, this is very beneficial.
Go ahead. What you say?
I said this was very beneficial, man. Like a lot of information that I needed that I feel like I was lacking. So this was a good this was a good class, man.
Yeah. Check us out. I'm gonna send you that link so you can come in on our. We got the advanced Bible study on Tuesday nights. So, but just be looking for the link.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna be looking for it.
Yeah, okay. Anybody else got anything they want to shine a light on before we leave?
Good class.
Okay. Yeah. So with that being said, I'm gonna say, shalom, shalom, and another shalom. I see everybody on Tuesday at 8 o'clock for our advanced Bible study. Okay. Shalom.
Shalom, family. Shalom. Shalom.
Shalom.
Kings and queens.
Okay.
Shalom. Shalom.